This is Christmas Tree Lane from REM, one of the few Christmas songs that they have done that they don't really release album. They haven't really released a public album of Christmas songs, though I think they probably should, to be honest. But that's just me. Anyway, hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. I am your host, Dylan Lang, and actually can't see my flamingo today because it is Christmas time. It's my Christmas decorations. I'm getting the stuff ready out for Christmas time. Let's see if I pull this out. Will you be able to see my flamingo? Yeah, just his head. So we'll just leave him on back there. But he is on over there. But yes, it is now officially the Christmas season. It is November 28th, 2 days after Thanksgiving. Hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. It is now the Christmas season and the wrap up to this new year, or this terrible, horrible, crappy year. And so, and it keeps getting worse too. We're going to find out more about that today in today's episode. But I hopefully you all had an enjoyable Thanksgiving. And again, this time of the year is always, this date is usually very depressing. It's Saturday, meaning that I have to go back to work in 2 days. Basically, I have tomorrow off and then back to work on Monday. I took a week off this week. Had never done that before, and it was kind of nice to get done what I wanted to. I wanted to try to work on our back room. Didn't even touch it because A, I didn't feel like it, and B, I was hoping that my wife would be able to help me because I thought she was going to take it off also, but she could not due to work issues. So I just had no desire to do it. So I cleaned up a little bit upstairs, but just I didn't really feel like doing a damn thing during my vacation. So, and then we'll talk more about what happened on Thanksgiving and what's been going on this weekend. So as I said, I got one more day off and then back to the grind. I've been off now for 1, 2, 7, 8, 9. This is the 8th day, so 9-day vacation. Day 8 of 9, so it sucks. But it is now officially the Christmas time. This is the last episode of Dylan Knows in November 2020. Next week's episode is December 5th, which will be my niece's birthday. Then it's December 12th, which is my daughter's birthday. Then it's December 19th, and then it is the 26th. So we might have to make some changes here and there over the next. So basically only 3 episodes left before Christmas of Dylan Knows. So we're going to have to make some changes probably. I tend to like to do a Christmas show at the end of the year. We'll see if we do one of those. I think this year would also be relevant for a probably wouldn't be really good to do, but a look back on 2020 and about how historic and how horrible and how this is going to go down as one of the strangest, hardest, weirdest, toughest, shittiest years of all time, but it's going to be in the history books. So we're living history right now, and this is a living history of it. So this is the 28th of November, 2020. We're going to be talking about Mike Tyson because in just about an hour, he's back in the ring. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. We'll talk about my Thanksgiving. If you want to call me a hypocrite, you can, but let me tell you what I mean by that later on. Talk about a wedding that happened this weekend in my neighborhood, which is interesting. Something bad happened to the Baltimore County Public Schools. I'll talk about that. It's going to be the top story. We'll talk about that as well. David Lynch made news again. Zombie minks are now a thing. Halloween nativity scene. Scotland is all over the place. I think this is one episode that I have no Oreos or no Starbucks stories, so we're not going to worry about that. But I've got Santa Claus. I've got Baby Yodas all over the place because after, spoiler alerts, he's no longer known as Baby Yoda. I'll tell you what his real name is. The Baltimore Ravens are in a lot of trouble right now. I'll tell you about that real quick. President-elect Joe Biden made a move that made me like him even more. But yeah, Baby Yoda stuff is all over the place. Christmas story pops up. There's some deaths, a lot of Christmas stuff coming through here. Pops. History, John Barrymore's back, Mountain Dew, has got a couple of stories in there. A sex party. Clifford the Big Red Dog. A couple of famous coaches have COVID. Mint vanilla milk. Blech. Disgusting. 7-Eleven. The Broncos have a problem. Batman Catwoman is in the news as well. Snickerdoodles, Stranger Things, My Hero Academia. Krispy Kreme does make an appearance in here, as does Dunkin'. So I got those in there. Captain Crunch, Beaver Butts, world's largest swimming pool, hot cocoa. What else do we got? Godzilla versus King Kong is doing something I'm not happy with. The Rock's got a couple of stories to talk about. And squirrels. We got some squirrels in there too. And Vanderbilt University made history today as well. So we're going to talk all about that today. So real quick, first, the big news of the week is that local news. My kids are doing online learning from home. They haven't been in the school since March 13th. So they've been doing online learning. And Wednesday, I guess it was Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, Tuesday night into Wednesday, the Baltimore County Public School computer server was attacked by ransomware. So they have basically are holding Baltimore County Public Schools hostage right now. Schools were shut down on classes were shut down on Wednesday. They were going to have classes on Wednesday. They were shut down on Wednesday. Due to this, they are shut down Monday and Tuesday as well, as they work to try to solve this ransomware issue. So that's why today's episode is Christmas Ransom. So that's the big story for the week. Baltimore's been hit before. Baltimore's water company was hit by ransomware not too long ago. And now they are hitting the Baltimore County Public Schools. So for whatever end, I don't know. In the end, it's usually about money, but we'll see. But it's causing problems and issues. They have friends who work in the IT department who had to spend Thanksgiving on the problem, trying to solve it. So, but as of now, kids were off Wednesday. They are off Monday and Tuesday of this week as well, as they work on trying to figure out what they're going to do to fix all this. So hopefully by Wednesday, December 2nd, things will be running smoothly for them. So that's the big news of the week this week, and it's still affecting. It's one of the big local news things of the week. And one of the other big local news of the week is the Baltimore Ravens, who played a shitty game against the Tennessee Titans last Sunday. Showed no spirit, no will, whatever. Maybe now we kind of figure out maybe why, because 18 members of the Ravens staff and players have COVID-19. 18 of them. Started with, I guess, on Monday there were some cases, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, today there have been cases, and it's not just, minor players. I mean, our quarterback Lamar Jackson has it, our two stud running backs Ingram and Dobbins have it, so we still have Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. Our defensive line basically, or the offensive line, offensive line mostly has it. Defensive line has it. Secondary has it. So we've got lots of players, lots of coaches. The coach that caused the outbreak has been disciplined. He was not listening to protocols, but somehow it really spread out and got crazy. So the Ravens game against the Steelers was postponed. It was not on Thanksgiving night. They originally were going to shift it to tomorrow at 1:15, and then we had some more COVID cases. They moved it to Tuesday at 8 p.m. Now, the Steelers were whining and bitching because they're little bitches about all this. And then yesterday, the Steelers started getting impacted by COVID, with 4 players getting COVID, including their stud running back, James Conner, who will not be able to play on Tuesday either. unless he takes another test tomorrow and it turns out it was a false positive, which is probably going to be what happened. It was some sort of conspiracy theory, if you believe that. But it is a huge hit. 18 players of the Ravens have been infected. The Ravens have become basically kind of a laughing stock. People screaming, "Why are the Ravens getting special treatment?" Blah, 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 blah. It's a whole bunch of bitching, whining noises that I'm not really paying attention to because of all the other shit that's going on. But because of that, so the game against the Steelers that was supposed to be on Thanksgiving has been moved to Tuesday at 8 p.m. As of now, even with these new COVID cases today, it looks like that will not be moving anytime soon because they want to try to get the season in within their time frame. And make it look like it's still a normal season. But that in turn causes the Ravens-Dallas game, which was supposed to be on Thursday, to shift to Monday night at Monday afternoon at 5 p.m. So the Ravens have gone from a Thanksgiving night game against the Steelers to a Tuesday night, 8 o'clock game on NBC, which will be the only game in town. So that'll be like watching it on Thanksgiving, except it isn't, obviously, and it'll be playing all their second stringers, including Des Bryant, who was signed to the 53-man roster off of the practice squad, so he will be on the roster for the remainder of the year. He actually looked pretty good in last week's game against the Titans, and I wish they would have gotten the ball to him a bit more. He caught 4 passes for 28 yards, so 7 yards average for a guy who hadn't played in almost 3 years is not bad, and he looked good. And he was open a bunch of times. He was running his route properly, so he could have had a whole lot of other things going towards him. So that's always a good sign. And it'll be interesting to see his former enemy RG3, who used to play for the Washington football team. And when Dez played for the Cowboys, they would go up against each other a few times. So now RG3, who will be replacing Lamar Jackson on Tuesday, will be throwing to Des Bryant. Probably a lot, to be honest, because I really don't know who else they're going to be able to, because we do have some running back stuff like that. But to sign him to the 53-man roster is a good sign as well. But here's the other thing also. So that's what's going on with the Ravens and Steelers, but we're not alone. The NFL is in a lot of trouble itself. Today alone, Santa Clarita County out in California, where the San Francisco 49ers play, has decreed that for the next 3 weeks, there will be no contact sports played in their premises, which basically means that the 49ers cannot play games, any home games, and they cannot practice. So they're going to have to find a new place to do home games and to practice. So they can't do it in Santa Clarita County. Members of the Browns, Colts, and Saints, as well as I said, the Steelers and the Ravens, have all been tested for COVID and have shown up as positives. So we have a lot of positives on there as well. And then before all this started, before I did this show, something else comes down the wire a couple hours ago. The Denver Broncos, their entire QB core, their main QB guy and their 2 backups, all cannot play tomorrow against the Saints due to being on the COVID list. So the Broncos have no quarterbacks to play against the Saints. Now, here's where people are screaming. It's like, well, why didn't you move the game for them as well? Well, here's the case. I mean, in this case, if these 3 do have COVID, moving it to Tuesday or whatever is only 3 days. They're not going to be able to play anyway because they have COVID. So they're going to need to at least take a break for 10 days. So you can't play that long. And that's the other thing with all the screaming about the Ravens is that they're not going to be able to play on Tuesday. And they're probably not going to, they might be able to be coming back against Dallas on Sunday, but they were never going to be able to play on Tuesday. So none of our starters are basically playing on Tuesday. So it's basically going to be the second tier team against an undefeated Steelers team, which means that this game is going to go south very quickly. But yeah, so what's going to happen with the Broncos is they are playing their game tomorrow. They're going to have a wide receiver who played quarterback at Wake Forest, has been taking snaps probably the last couple days. And the funny thing is Von Miller is coming back off of the DL and or the IR, I should say. And he said that he always wanted to be Von Elway and he wants to throw some passes. So I think he was joking, but that'd be funny if he got him involved with that too. So that'll be interesting to see that as well. So a lot of COVID stuff going on here in football land. Good. So speaking of Thanksgiving, which we're going to, there were 2 games. the Texans and the Lions, and the Washington football team versus the Cowboys. The Texans blew out the Detroit Lions 41-26. And the Washington football team surprised everyone, including us. We were watching it at Thanksgiving, which we'll talk about in a second, with a 41-16 shellacking of the Dallas Cowboys. So it was a good Thanksgiving football all the way around. And it was fun to watch. So basically what we did is, I am for strict mask guidelines. I am for lockdowns and staying home and not having parties and stuff like that. But my wife, who loves her family and hasn't had a real chance to see her family in a while because of all this, wanted to do Thanksgiving at her folks' house. And the governor of Maryland said, parties of 25 or more are to be prohibited, but they are also strongly urging that there was only 11 of us there. The house is pretty big. I spent most of the day on the couch watching football with just the kids basically with me. And we took our social distance, except for my son, who was a little cuddle bug. But that's okay because I'm with him all the time. So I'm used to that as well. And then when we had dinner, we had it spaced out where the 4 grandchildren would be sitting at their own table, a big table, 2 on one side, 2 on the other with wide space in between. And then the dining room table had the remaining 7 people. And we had 3, 2, 3 and 2, and then 1 and 1. I was on the end as well, so I wasn't around really anybody. So, we had we did our social distancing though. I mean, we did do hugs and we were stood near each other. So, but they don't really go out that much. My in-laws don't go out that much, and neither do the relatives who were there. So am I a little worried? Maybe a little bit, but I'm not too worried because we've gone down to their house before. We went to Labor Day. We had a little event at her other sister's house. We had everybody down there too. So, and nobody got sick from that. So knock on wood that nothing bad happens. Obviously, if there was a strict lockdown, we wouldn't have gone because that's the rule of law. But in this case, the governor himself said groups of 25 or more should not get together. He said, and they strongly advise other groups to get together, but they say it's not too bad if you do get together. Just be careful and don't really go out of state. So we'll see what happens. But it was okay. This whole year I haven't been feeling a lot of stuff. The Macy's Day Parade wasn't the Macy's Day Parade this year, so I really had no desire to watch it. So I played Fortnite with my son during the time frame that it was going to be on. We didn't leave here till 1 o'clock. I was kind of dreading it. Once we got down there, it wasn't too bad. The appetizers were always good, but they had less than usual, which is a good thing because I usually tend to overeat on the appetizers. So we didn't have those. So we had appetizers, but not as many as we usually have. So I didn't overeat with those. So I was able to finish the wonderful turkey dinner we had, and mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese and applesauce and corn and stuffing and all that stuff. It was really, really good. So enjoyed it. And then came home. My wife got a little drunk, and the kids were a little tired. So they all went to bed soon after we got back home, about 9:30-ish. And I stayed up till about 1:30. I did some Christmas shopping early and played some Fortnite, did some social media stuff, and then went to bed at 1:30. And then last night, Black Friday, we really didn't do anything. We stayed in, basically played video games, watched the movie Klaus, which is fantastic. By the way, it's on Netflix. It's an animated film. Absolutely recommend it for everybody. I talked about it last year at this time, so I still recommend it. So I showed my daughter and wife that. They enjoyed that very much. And we had pizza as we usually do. And my wife and I went for a little walk around the neighborhood. So that was kind of nice too. So that was good. And then today I was going to start getting the house decorated for Christmas, hence all the detriments, the detritus as it is, the boxes and stuff all hanging around here. But again, I got a late start. I went to bed. So Wednesday night went to bed at 1:30. Thursday night went to bed at 1:30. Friday night went to bed at 1:30. Tonight I'll probably go to bed at 1:30 because I'll be doing this show probably till about 11:30. Actually, probably maybe 11:45, closer to that, maybe even 12 o'clock. And then I like to stay up. It's like I'm jazzed up, and I gotta come down a little bit. So probably 1:30 again tonight too. So we'll see what happens. But I got up at like almost 9 o'clock this morning, and then I did social media. Pokemon Go had an event, the Nidoron event. So I did that for a lot of time, played some Fortnite with my son. And then right about 12 o'clock when the kids wanted to eat, they got their dinner. They got their, actually it was about closer to 1 o'clock, actually. They got their lunch. I went upstairs, took my shower, got dressed, started unloading this stuff. And then when my son's friends came over, and they took over the family room, and they stayed till about 8 o'clock. So that was like a 6-hour time to spend together. They stayed for dinner like that. And I got some of the decorations up, but not all of them. I haven't worked on the outside. Since there's no football, I will not be watching football tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll try to, right around, I'll probably get up late again and then just take my time. And then about 11, 12 o'clock, whatever, I'll shower, come downstairs, and I'll start getting the stuff outside, like the inflatables and the lights up, and then get the tree up tomorrow as well, and then finish decorating. Now I like to use some of the tables in our living room, but they're filled with trash. So I need to find boxes to dump that trash into so I can put up the decorations I want to. So that might even take some time. I need to get the family room done because my son and his friend were in there the whole day, and I didn't want to disrupt their playing. So I want to get the mantle done and stuff like that. So still got a lot of work done. I'm probably not going to get all of it done tomorrow, and that's just the way it is. I usually work on it sporadically up till, I think, December, like by my daughter's birthday, December 12th, December 13th is usually when everything is finally fully up and decorated and running smoothly, and that's all I have to worry about. So it takes a little bit of time for me. But again, this year's just been sapping everything out of me, so it didn't surprise me. So there's my Thanksgiving. I hope you had a good one as well. Now, today also is kind of interesting. My mom made a good point also, as I was talking to her when this happened. So my wife was out getting groceries. My son was playing with his friend, and my daughter was upstairs looking on her phone. So I was doing some of the decorating. I don't really want to do anymore. And my mom had called. I didn't answer the phone, so I called her back, see how she's doing. And I was upstairs in my bedroom because it was loud down here and stuff like that because of them, and I couldn't hear it. So I was talking to my mom, and all of a sudden I'm looking out the window. It looks out to the front of our house, and down the road comes 5 black cars, horns honking, stuff like that, rolling up to this house 2 doors down from us. And it stops. They parked along the curbs and in the middle of the road and stuff like that. And all these people in suits are coming out and doing stuff. Now, a couple hours earlier, there was a white car that came with a bunch of women wearing really nice dresses that were coming out also down to this house 2 doors down. Earlier this week, a bunch of people were coming into this house 2 doors down. They were doing their yard and stuff like that. So I was determining, because of all this, that it was probably going to be a wedding of some kind. Now, I don't know if it was going to be at the house or it was just where the setup was for the bride. It's like the bride's family lives in that house. So that was just the setup where they would get dressed and get their makeup done and hair done and stuff like that and take pictures there. And then they make their way over to the church and get married and then do the reception and then come back. And that's actually what ended up happening. So when I saw that, I came downstairs, I looked out my bay windows, I talking to my mom and just watching for like 20 minutes. I was watching what was going on. These guys in suits getting stuff ready, parking the cars, getting stuff out. Some women were coming out with like minks and high heels and nice dresses. And so I was like, yeah, it's got to be a wedding. There's photographers taking pictures of stuff. Now, only the photographers are wearing masks. Everyone else in the family are all unmasked, and there's lots of people, and they're all not really social distancing. So I'm a little worried about that. Not too much because we don't really interact with them, because for the most part, that house seems like it's always empty. We don't see anybody really go in and out, and they hardly have any lights on, and their yard really doesn't look like anyone looks after it and stuff like that. So I don't know what the whole cases, but in this case it was something that needed something was going on, and so just kept watching, and then sure enough things started getting a little busier. So all of a sudden the door opens and this woman in a gorgeous wedding gown comes out with a long train, and someone's carrying the train to make sure it won't get dirty. And then all these other women come out wearing these slinky black dresses and nice purses, and they've got to be Muslim of some kind, because some have the habibs over their heads that were gorgeous dresses. The mother was like fully, in like a robe sort of dress. It was really kind of nice. So we need to see that. And then they were getting in the cars, and then as they were driving away, they were honking the horns, and then they disappeared. And I haven't seen them since. So I'm assuming that this is around 4:30. So I'm assuming the wedding was probably at 5 o'clock. Make it go about an hour, 6 o'clock, and they have the reception. That's probably going to go till 10 or 11. The only problem I'm worried about is that around midnight, we're going to start hearing the loud noise, because it's still, you can still hear stuff outside. It might be muffled a little bit, but you can still hear stuff outside. But it was kind of neat to see that. Something you don't expect to see in your neighborhood on a Thanksgiving weekend. So pretty cool. Again, could be a serious super spreader incident. A lot of these people might end up having COVID. So we got to need to keep a better close eye on stuff. So we'll see. But as I said, we hardly see them anyway. So maybe it won't be as big of a deal. One of the other big stories that came out this week was the metal monolith that was found in the Utah desert. Now, there was a helicopter that was flying over part of the Red Rocks desert out in Utah on some sort of survey mission for animals or whatever. And they noticed, and they passed over, taking pictures, stuff like that. Someone noticed a weird silver object about 10 feet tall, looked like the obelisk from 2001. It's just in the middle of the desert. So that's kind of odd. So they landed, take a look at it, and they took pictures of it, and that drew people's attention. People were looking for it on Google Maps. People were going out to Utah to look at it for themselves, touching it, whatever. It was just this big sheet of silver metal, thin, very thin, but very tall, just sitting in the middle of the desert with nothing around. So nobody knew how it got there. So it was the whole 2001 thing. Was it aliens? Because Utah is a big alien hotspot. Whatever. So people started doing some research to see, well, how long has it been there? Because obviously no one has seen it before this time. So either it's been there forever and it's just been so well hidden that nobody was looking for it, or it was recent and nobody knew it was there, even though they've flown over the area a million times before. So armchair sleuths and people interested in paranormal, stuff like that, said, let's do some investigating. So they looked on the Google Maps, they did their research and triangulated where they thought that the photos were taken, and they actually were able to take a look around. They spotted it in recent pictures from Google Earth. So then they started pushing the date back further and further and further. They discovered that sometime in 2016 is when it was put there, because they went back to 2015 and it wasn't there. 2014 wasn't there, 2013, 2012. They went back, I think they even went back like 2000, maybe into the 90s, just to make sure that they didn't miss it, and nothing was there. And then all of a sudden, 2016, boom, it appeared. So that got people interested in that as well. And they were talking about that a lot, still saying aliens could have done it, and so on and so forth. Then an artist came and claimed credit for it and showed work from his Instagram with dates and stuff like that from years, and showed a bunch of different art places he's put all across the world that was very similar to this one. So he basically took the credit for it. Still could be kind of hinky, but we'll see. People didn't quite believe him right away, but a lot did. And then I was just making one last check of the news to make sure that I wasn't forgetting anything. I was trying to get up to the date, up to the minute news for this show, when I saw that there was a story now that the metal monolith has disappeared. So it was discovered this week, investigated this week, and it disappeared this week. Very convenient. Now, people are saying that they believe that the artist wasn't intending it to be seen, or he was waiting to see how long it took for people to notice it, and then once they did, he would take it and get rid of it. That's one of the theories. Another is that it was drawing a lot of attention because people were going there on pilgrimages and stuff and touching it and taking their picture with it, stuff like that. There was a guy dressed in a monkey suit touching it like they did the obelisk in 2001. So maybe a lot of people are saying that maybe the aliens who planted there are like, okay, there's a little bit too much heat on this. We didn't want anyone to see that, and they took it away. So at this point, nobody knows, but it is gone, which is a shame. So this whole story, from discovery to investigation to disappearance, lasted only a week, which was a shame. But hey, it's 2020. Speaking of 2020, Why not? Last week, I told you a story about how there were minks, the little animal minks that people usually breed to make mink coats and stuff like that out of. They're like rodents or something like that. Had been getting COVID, and they think that they were some of the spreaders, also spreading it to some people as well. So now there's an added little tweak to the mink story. Minks in Sweden who had caught the COVID, the mutated version of COVID, whatever, when the scientists discovered that, they culled them, which basically means that they got a bunch of them together and they killed them because they didn't want the disease to spread. But here's the thing. They didn't kill them by like hacking them up or whatever. I guess they just asphyxiated them or poisoned them or whatever. I'm not so sure how they died, but they didn't like cut them up or shoot them or chop them or anything like that. It was just something, I guess maybe they give them a shot like you do when you put an animal to sleep. I don't know. But these minks that were put down because they had COVID and were dead came back to life. It's not a fake news story, nothing like that. It is a true story. You can find it for yourself. Minks in Sweden, type that into your search engine and you shall find the stories. There's multiple ones about it, but they came back from the dead. They believe the mutated form of COVID that the minks had somehow was able to regenerate them. So, hey, wonderful. So, I don't know what to do with that. So, why not? And things keep getting weirder. Taiwan, in their parliament this week, because they don't celebrate Thanksgiving because it's an American holiday around this time, so they were just doing business as usual. They were debating U.S. pork. Obviously, they're one of our, I guess, we export pork to them in Taiwan, and the government was talking about maybe they thought that the tariffs were too high, the price was too high, they wanted to get their pork from someplace else. I'm not exactly sure, but they were debating this on the Taiwan's government floor when fists and pig guts started coming out. So there were arguments and people were arguing about everything and people started punching each other, and then someone had brought pig guts and was throwing them at the other delegates. So fists and pig guts. Probably what I should name this episode instead of Christmas hacking. Scotland, the first of a couple Scotland stories. Scotland for Christmas is selling small pieces of their land, not a lot, just small little 1 square foot of land to people as a gift. And and I don't think this is true, but the way to get people to buy it for a gift is like buying a star, name a star for somebody who's buying a piece of land in Scotland, but it's only 1 square foot and it's like in the middle of nowhere. So you can't like build on it or anything like that, but you do own that piece of land. They say that will now make you a lord. So that's their advertising campaign, is that you want to make your family member a lord in Scotland, buy a 1 square foot piece of land and they will become a lord, which it's not exactly how it works, but that's what they're using to sell these square foot of land. So if you want to say you're a Scottish lord and you own 1 square foot of land, or buy 2, go ahead and do it. See what happens. So, yeehaw. So I think that's kind of funny. Okay. Because why not? Halloween has just passed. I think there's 336 days until Halloween now, next Halloween, for fans of Halloween. And why not? Because, Christmas is now in full swing. And one of the biggest things about Christmas is the nativity scene. Actually really cool. Saw a really neat big plastic one in somebody's window in one of the houses around here. It was lit up and it was really nice looking. Anyway, Halloween decided to get into the nativity scene game right now. You can now order your very own Halloween nativity scene. It's, I think, Baby Jesus is a vampire. Joseph and Mary are Frankenstein and I think Frankenstein. And then there's like werewolves and the creature from the Black Lagoon and other vampires and other creatures, Bigfoot, stuff like that. I think there's like all these horror creatures surrounding, and it's your very own horror nativity scene. So if you're a huge horror fan like my friend Kim, that should be like perfect for her. I've seen lots of stories for this week, so I think it's kind of neat that they're offering that as well. This week will be the last lunar eclipse of the year. Obviously, it's almost the end of the year. We only have a month and a few days left in the year. Actually, to be honest, let's see, we've got 30, 31, 32 days left. Technically 33 count today. 33 days left in the year. So not a lot of time left in 2020. Thank God for that. Anyway, there it is. So the last lunar eclipse of the year is going to hit on Monday, I believe so. Yes, because the full moon, the full beaver moon is on Monday. If you look outside now, the moon is almost full. It isn't yet, but it's getting close. But the full beaver moon is going to come out on Monday, and you'll be able to see a penumbral eclipse, which means it's not going to be a total eclipse. It's only going to be a partial eclipse. And you will have to be an early bird to see it because you will only be able to see it. You'll be able to see it in North America, the entire event from when it starts to when it ends, and during totality and when it ends because of the timing. But in order to see it, it's early in the morning. It's right before sunrise. So like me, I might be able to see it because I get up at 5 a.m., but by then the sun's already starting to rise. So we're looking probably like at 3, 4 in the morning is when it's going to hit. So if you want to check it out, that would be what you will want to do. Radiation munching fungi are thriving in Chernobyl. And now they're starting to consider that maybe they could be used to shield astronauts from radiation as well. Put it on the outside of the ship, and these bacteria will thrive eating the radiation. That's what they use to survive. I mean, that's what I've been screaming about for years. If you want to look for life on another planet, don't look for life where we have to breathe air, that the life has to breathe air and have water, because they might have evolved to be able to survive on eating radiation or breathing carbon or whatever. So that's neat that they're thriving in Chernobyl, and then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? We could use it to our advantage. We can get a bunch of them and put them on, the radiation shield, and when the astronauts are coming in, any radiation will be cut down drastically that gets in, because these bacteria will be like, ooh, food, and they'll eat it out and eat it out. Oh God. Oh, I want to eat out something, but we're not going to think about that right now. Anyway, but yeah, so we got that going on. So that's pretty cool. President-elect Joe Biden made news today as he announced that one of the deals he made with Jill, his wife, is that if they won the election, that he'd be able to get a cat. So they have 2 dogs already, and now Joe Biden will be able to get a cat when he's president. So we'll have 2 dogs and a cat in the White House, which is going to be awesome because I love cats. I think that's awesome. So good on that. Last week, maybe not last week, but last week's Mandalorian was directed by Carl Weathers. That was last week's, right? Yes, last week's was directed by Carl Weathers. And had Mando returning to the place where he started his series, helping out his friends take down an Imperial frigate, and on his way to do stuff. Well, there was apparently a mistake in there, that there was one sequence where the heroes are shooting at the bad guys, and if you look over their shoulders, you can see a guy in jeans, half in and half out of the scene. He wasn't supposed to be seen. He thought he was far enough away from, he was a crew member. He thought he was far enough off of the set, but he wasn't. He was still sticking on there. So a lot of people pointed out, say, hey, look, there's a guy in jeans over there. joke things where they came up with a Lego set of Gene's guy and an action figure of Gene's guy and stuff like that, which just shows the half of him, just the half of his legs with the Gene, stuff like that. Well, because of technology and the way things are, they've gone in and they have digitally erased him from the episode. So you will not, from now on, whenever you watch that episode, you will not be able to see Gene's guy in that scene. Concurrently, Baby Yoda's all over the place this week, but we're going to talk about, spoilers, this week's episode of Mandalorian, which is another huge one. We finally get our first appearance of a live-action Ahsoka Tano, played by, she's a, oh, God, killing me here. Ahsoka Tano. Rosario Dawson played the live action version of it. On the Clone Wars, it was Ashley Tisdale, was it? Maybe not. On the Clone Wars, but they got Rosario Dawson to do the live action version of her, and she, for the most part, looked like the cartoon version of her, and she made an appearance. Michael Biehn was cast in the show as a bad guy as well, so it was good to see him too. And the big thing about this episode is, spoiler alert, that Baby Yoda got his name and a little bit of his history. His name is officially Gorgu, Gorgu. Was a youngling, was